How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. It's really nice to see you visually over the interwebs, as the
Yeah.
old folks call it. You and I can tell by our visual cameras right now that neither of us have enough guitars.
No, we don't. Neither of us.
Good answer, right?
You never have enough.
No, you always have one less than what you need. That was the old Stephen Bruton joke, I guess. I never got told that, but I guess Bruce Hughes came up to him and he had like a collection of like 50 amazing guitars, and Bruce was like, "How many guitars do you have?" And he was like, "Always one less than what I need." I love that one. This is an old mandolin that I got from Brian Duckworth, who used to play fiddle for Robert Earl Keen.
Oh, wow.
And we were in this band called the Bluegrass Nibblers, which is a pretty funny title because we did our best to play bluegrass. And we would all play on one mic, sort of "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" style. And we would play bluegrass tunes. And it was a really great band. And he said he was getting rid of his mandolin and getting a newer one. And this one went out on the road with him for a long time. Now, I have a nice Collings mandolin down in Austin. But up here, this one is it's great. I keep it out all the time and play it when I can. Close enough, anyway. It's a nice mando. Anyway, that'll be your next thing you get into, I'm sure.
I do have a mandolin. Yeah.
You got one already?
Yeah, they're really
cool.
fun.
What's that?
They're really fun.
Yeah, they are super fun. Let me see if I can turn myself up a little. Oh, I sure can. What have you been working on? You've been working on some cool music? I know you've been writing because you're always writing.
Yeah, I've got a couple of new songs.
Yeah?
Yeah. The quarantine has been pretty good for writing.
Man, I wish I could stay the same. Like when I first got here, you know, I'm up on Vancouver Island where my wife is from. My wife's Canadian. I'm from the States. And we were trying to get back to get close to family so we could ride out the quarantine near her family and stuff, and because she's got a summer job. So we took our dogs and our truck and just basically moved up north early by about 3 weeks, just like racing to try to beat the pandemic, so to speak. And we got to the border, and since she's a citizen, they let us in, and we had to quarantine for 2 weeks. And then, I mean, strict quarantine for 2 weeks. We did not leave this little basement apartment that we have here on Vancouver Island. And we were like in the same, 400 square feet for 2 weeks, which was crazy. But I loved it, and it drove her crazy.
Yeah.
But now I'm just finally getting to the point that we're in shelter in place, so we could take the dogs for a walk. And I've been on a couple of bike rides where I felt safe, you know, not really doing my part to spread the virus or anything, like trying to feel like I'm social distancing. And but still getting out a little bit has been really, really nice. And now I'm finally starting to play a little guitar like I should be. You know, it's nice.
So, have you written anything new?
You know, I've been writing the whole time, but I've been sending stuff to friends, like different ideas and stuff. And I just sent something to my friend Betty Sue yesterday. Somewhere out of the blue, I got the idea for a little finger picking thing, and I haven't done anything with it yet, but I think it's kind of cool. And it starts with like an A minor, then it goes to this weird diminished thing. It's totally right up your alley. You'd probably dig it. Where you go. And then I think the bridge will probably be like. Maybe an AABA form. I have no idea what's going to happen with it, but that's just something that I just kind of thought, my friend Betty Sue might know what to do with this. So it starts off with this little A minor chord, like a regular Travis picking thing, and then I go to this little diminished, which is basic. Yeah, exactly. You're almost there. There it is. Exactly. And I just thought that'd be a fun chord to go back and forth between A minor and that, like just kind of dissonant, like doesn't know what it's doing. And then G. And then I like the other part just kind of being like this really, really, really slow walk up from like E minor to F to D with F sharp in the bass. But I usually just play it like that because I kind of cheat. Yeah, exactly like that. And then G and little kind of blackbird walk up, Kind of reminds me of something. Are you familiar with a guy named Roy Bookbinder?
Yes.
Love Roy Bookbinder's playing, and love his album Bookaroo, which is one of his old albums I really, really love. And it just kind of sounds like one of those little kind of turnarounds that he would throw in there. Maybe it'll just stay an instrumental. Who knows? Maybe it's something you and I will work on. Who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe
really
Betty
cool.
Sue will be like, I don't like that one. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's
But
really cool.
it's a fun little, sometimes I was watching a video recently of a guy that I don't know very much about, but a lot of people talk about him, and I think his name was, I think he's somebody who's not with us anymore. I hope I'm right about this. Well, I won't mention, but I watched this video, and this guy was really, really great, and he was saying, sometimes I just kind of put down my fingers and see where they go. And man, I sure love that approach. Because, we could kind of bog down with learning tons and tons of chords and vocabulary and scales. And then it's like, well, sometimes the people who came up with stuff just put their finger down and moved it around. And they went, well, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like if you think about like Needle in the Damage Done, you're just moving that up, or To Live Is to Fly. Won't say I love you, babe. I mean, who knows? Maybe he just slid his hand up and that worked.
Yeah.
I kind of love that approach. And, have you ever done To Live Is to Fly?
I haven't learned that one yet, no.
Oh, you would do a great version of To Live Is to Fly. It's a beautiful, beautiful song, town song. Guy Clark did a great version of it too. And great chords, pretty much just this fun G and D and yeah. What else are you working on?
Well, I've been writing some songs. I've got a couple of new ones. I've done a couple of co-writes over the interwebs.
You said it right. I was hoping we'd get to do that one of these days. Maybe if we get done with the cool video, you and I'll mess around and write something.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, I think it would be too. Well, should you play a song first? Should I play a song first? What should we do?
It's up to you.
I never know. Okay, you go first. I've been playing guitar and talking your ear off. I'll listen first.
This is one that this is a new one that I wrote called No Way Out.
Cool.
I think I wrote it during this whole thing, but maybe I started it just a little before, but I definitely finished it in the pandemic. The one thing that brings me more joy than anything makes me so miserable. Just Does that mean that joy is misery? Or have I fallen victim to my own doubts? Have I stumbled into a room full of darkness with no way out? With no way out. I used to think that life was like a warm spring day with green trees and sunshine and bumblebees and butterflies. And it's true, in a way, 'cause there's always another tree to climb. There's always some bumblebee buzzing around you, trying to take anything that's sweet. Anything that's sweet. I wish I had hope. I used up all that I had. I drank it slowly from a golden flask, but it was gone too fast. And my dreams, they shattered like glass. Without hope, there are no dreams. The bitter truth overtook my mind, and I can't break free. No, I can't break free. Who knows why we're all here? Who knows what we're supposed to do to help me get through the years? I've been known to lean on a theory or two, and I wonder what's going to kill us. I think what already has. Maybe this life is just a hoax, 'cause it seems to be moving too fast. It seems to be moving too fast. Or have I fallen victim to my own doubts? Have I stumbled into a room full of darkness with no way out? With no way out. With no way out. With no way out.
Yeah, I gotta unmute myself there so I can say, woo! You're wise beyond your years, you know that, right? Everybody keeps telling you, I bet you're an old soul. You got a lot of knowledge in that young frame of yours, man.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for blessing me with that. It was really nice to hear. So that one was written pretty recently, huh?
Yeah, it's one of my new ones.
You know what I love is, when we met and you first came and, I first went and did Guitar Slingers with you and did an episode. And then you came over and came to a gig of mine over at the Post. And we were hanging out. And we're talking a lot about blues music and stuff like that, and it being a really big influence on you. And already in really, really short amount of time, I've noticed from different songs that you're getting influenced by a whole lot of different things and really finding ways to put it into your music. And
I love all different kinds of music, so
why not, right?
I like ragtime, I like blues, I like country, I like more the songwriter Americana stuff.
Yeah. Would you say that maybe that one was a little bit more folky, or what would you call? Yeah, it kind of feels a little bit more folky than some of the hardcore blues.
Kind of Americana.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's kind of cool too. I think that at your age, at any age, it's really, really great to kind of make those burners worth it. So it's like when you can settle down and play a song that's really kind of introspective like that, that's got a lot of imagery and a lot of things to make people think about, then when you're ready to just take off and blaze and just woo up and down the neck, kind of means a little something more because you've done a little bit of both, I hope you didn't hear that phone call that was just coming in.
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. But yeah, I think it really, really shows that your writing is just is not only. I mean, you've been great since the minute I heard you, but it's really cool how like really, really fast you're opening up and getting influenced by other things and putting it right into your music, and not being afraid to try other things, which I think is pretty darn cool, man. I hadn't heard a song like that from you yet, which I think is super cool,
Yeah, it's fun to write and play all different kinds of songs because if you like all different kinds of music, why not play all different kinds of music?
Darn right. And I'll tell you another thing is I've always kind of come from the perspective that anybody that we really love, like take somebody that you really love. Who are you listening to that you really dig right now? Just like, I don't care if it's older like Doc Watson or newer like Jason Isbell, or who do you really like right now?
Well, I was already a big fan of John Prine, but after he died, I went back and just kind of listened to all of his albums again. And so I've been listening to John Prine a lot.
And maybe this is now, his attention to detail with words and how every... Go ahead.
I really like how... So Townes Van Zandt's writing, it's very complex.
Sure.
But John Prine's writing is more simple. He says what he wants to say. He says complex things in less words.
Sure. And both are great. Yeah, both are great, right? Like Townes will say something like, I had a buddy who was doing I don't know if I've ever told you this one before, so stop me. But I had a buddy who was asked to do like a workshop on Townes because he knew a bunch of Townes songs people liked when he did them. And he said, well, what should I do? He's like, how do I explain, Townes stuff? And I said, well, just walk out and say, Harlequin mandolins harmonize helplessly, hoping that endlessly won't be betrayed.
Yeah.
And then go, workshop over. Like, who comes up with such a beautiful phrase that just rolls off the tongue, but just creates all these little images in your mind, and you kind of have to put yourself into it. Otherwise, just who knows? And, and then we talked about simpler songs like If I Needed You, which is really, really beautiful. And how that song doesn't have, like, has a lot of parts where it doesn't rhyme, and or the same line will be used, because why say something different in a spot where you'd be expecting a different line,
Yeah.
And that's really cool too. But then somebody like John Prine, you listen to and you go, wow, he said so much in such a simple way. He didn't have to floral it up.
Yeah.
And
the song Hello in there, that's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
He says so much and not a lot of time. Well, songs are not a lot of time, but
I know what you mean. He's not shoving all the words in there, kind of.
Yeah.
And what may or may not happen as we both, you and I, get better at songwriting, because you never get you're never done. You're always trying to be better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I always will be. I'm always looking to write the next better song and that kind of thing. But as you do it, you go, well, maybe this song needs to be a little bit more floral and needs to be a little more vague. And maybe this song needs to be a little bit more simple.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have these things that you can pick from, like a painter's got a palette.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these different colors that you can mix together to make a song. And sometimes they're kind of busy and sometimes they're kind of simple, and they're both great. And I could definitely see in that last song, what was the name of it? No Way Out?
Yeah.
Definitely. Even the title, really simple, No Way Out. And then, it's a longer song. You've got a lot of different verses and stuff, but super, super cool that you can see all the images of whether it's the bumblebee or whether it's this or whether it's that,
Thank
and
you.
saying more with less as a choice. And you'll find that I would think that all these palettes are available to you, and there's no rule that you have to do one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the thing about songwriting and music in general, is that there are no rules. You can do it however you want it. And
it's exciting, isn't it?
That's part of what makes it so exciting and fun.
Yeah. Never. I hope you never lose that. I've always. I think I might have said on Guitar Slingers that I had an old voice teacher when I was a kid. They wanted me to take some voice lessons, and the school paid for it. And I took some voice lessons with an opera teacher, and she used to say that music is playing music. It's play. It's supposed to be fun. It's play. You're not working music. And maybe doing scales is work, and maybe learning how to sing better is work, and maybe these other things. But
that's all just to have more fun.
Yeah, I thought of a song that was kind of like an old wordy song of mine, and some people, like, now that I've been doing these live streams every week, and I know you've been doing a bunch too, it's been like a bit of a blessing, because people are requesting songs that I wrote more years ago than I would like to mention to you right now, Jack, honestly. And it's really cool, because my last live stream, I took a bunch of requests, and it ended up being a lot of stuff from my very first album. And I was like, wow, I haven't played that song in forever, and I'm playing that song in forever. And I ended up playing, I think, 4 songs off my first album, which is humbling, and it's nice to know people still like that stuff too. But long story short, I remembered this song because Kevin Connor from Sun Radio played it on the radio. It's from an album that I did called The Speed of Hope, which was just after that one. And it was an album that I made before I went to Japan. And I wrote this song, and I got a little bit of help from Ray Wiley Hubbard on this song, but he doesn't even remember. And I gave him credit on it, and then he was like, oh yeah, whatever, But it's kind of wordy. So maybe I'll play you one of my wordy songs.
Yeah. And I actually have a question about some of that live stream stuff that you've been doing. So
okay, well, we'll do that. We'll talk about that. Should I just play a song, or you want to ask first?
Yeah, play your song. Yeah.
All right, you got it. This is a song that's sorry, buddy. It's kind of with the Zoom thing, we talk over each other. This is a song that Kevin played on the radio recently. It's an old song called Forgiven. And it's a loud one, too. So I don't know. Maybe I should turn down my little volume a little bit. I gotta get loud on it. When am I gonna learn? It's never enough. And the taste is just too much for that stuff. Maybe I am gonna bet insane when it's out of my head, under my vein. Could you throw me a line, try to be a friend? Thought you'd be there till the bitter end. Paradox to paradise, I'll get you in, and you know the price when I've seen it before. Walked through that door, got slammed in my face, still I came back for more, with nothing left to lose. Yeah, I've never been afraid of the ride or the fight, but well, I may lay down my arms tonight. The cause is just, I do what I must. Heart and soul, the only two I trust. Well, it's a little too late for a pen or a sword, and it's hard to play the Satan board. It's a shame when you blame the same old names, when you ought to be minding your own little games. When I took bread when I had to eat, I worked my hands to the bone, still it put me in the street. Yeah, but it's still alright to use. Some people like to take their time, others all shove into the front of the line. My choice is to feel the miles I've driven. Some people like to sing the blues, others gon' tell you how they heard the news. I pay my dues with the life I'm living, and I'm forgiven. Yeah. Then with a voice cries out in the pouring rain, says, when all of you leave, what will remain? Is there still time to choose? Some people like to take their time, others all shove into the front of the line. My choice is to feel the miles I've driven. Some people like to sing the blues, others gon' tell you how they heard the news. I pay my dues with the life I'm living, and I'm forgiven. Yeah, yeah.
That was awesome. Is that called Forgiven?
Yes, sir, it is.
Awesome.
Yeah, just an old one. And I remember bringing it to Ray, and he was like, no, it's almost done. Just this, this, and this. Which I was like, okay, sir. Yes.
Yeah, that was really good. I really liked that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I haven't played that in a long time.
And
I think that's on.
And you said you brought that back because some people requested it on the live stream?
Yeah, and also because Kevin Connor played it one day on Sun Radio, and I was just kind of like, which is a great station in Austin, not just because they played my song. They're a great station, and they played my song. And you know, I hadn't thought about that song in a long time, and I can't remember what, but somebody said, "Hey, you're on the radio," and I said, "Oh, great, that's really nice. Yeah, they play me a bunch." They said, "No, it's a really old song." So, and I don't know if he played the live version that's on my Live at the Saxon Pub or the solo acoustic version like that, but uh, you know, you forget
Yeah.
after a while. You know, thankfully, I haven't. Knock wood. I haven't gotten to the point where I've forgotten my songs yet. I don't write as many as some people. I'm not this person who writes like, you know, a song a week.
Oh yeah.
I'm not there, you know, and I know a lot of people who do pretty well with that, you know, but I'm more of a stick with it until it comes out, and I try really hard for my Patreon page to have one original and one cover recorded very professionally every month.
Hmm.
But you were going to ask a question maybe about live streams?
Yeah. So I just because you know with this quarantine going on, a lot of the times a lot of musicians are just going and doing their live streams and or doing zooms like this. And is there anything that you've started doing because of the quarantine that you're gonna keep doing?
Yeah, you know, that's a really good uh, uh, question, in that I haven't really thought about it per se because I'm still so in the middle of it here, and I feel like it's really not any time for us to jump back out there yet. Like I really don't see that happening um, in any way, like full scale anytime soon. I think people are going to be still doing this for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I found that, you know, I didn't do much thinking about it before I started doing it. I used to do this thing called Concert Window, and
Mm.
Concert Window was pretty cool. And sadly, they shut their doors, so
Yeah.
to speak, before this whole thing happened,
Hmm.
which is such a shame because it was such a nice platform.
My
But
family and I would always watch Jamie Lynn Wilson's concert windows whenever they were on.
yeah, and of course you went to and played over at the Bugle Boy with our friend John Fulbright, and they would do all their shows there on Concert Window, which was great because people around the world could see it. Um, I know people who are doing Instagram Live. I know people who are doing Facebook Live. I've been pretty much sticking to Facebook Live, but I think this week I'm going to try 2 cameras and just give it a shot on
Hmm.
Monday. And I also been doing workshops, which I really, really love, where I have people just ask questions for an hour. And it just feels like, you know, I don't usually get to teach, and I'm teaching more lessons right now. I tend to do the lessons on Zoom. It seems like a lot of stuff where people want uh, lessons on Zoom are really fun because you can like pull up little web pages and show my desktop and share it with you.
Ah.
And that's really cool. So like, let's say I've got a finger picking pattern or a slide pattern or something, and I want to show it to somebody. It's so great because I hardly ever get to teach when I'm on the road. And right now I'm just having a blast. I'm taking a bunch of students
Uh-huh.
and just kind of
Yeah.
for all sorts of different things. But I'll pull up something and go, okay, well, look at it right here. And they'll be like, wow, it's like, boom, it's right in front of me, you
Yeah.
know? So Zoom's really cool for that. Zoom's also really cool. When I get done today, I'm going to do some people asked me for a lot of businesses where people are working from home are doing Zoom meetings. And
Yes.
they've actually hired me and 2 other musicians to be on their Zoom meeting to surprise their business. And we're all, yeah, like basically they're going to all get on like, da, 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 da. We're just going to be sitting at home doing another meeting. And then they're going to get on, and myself and 2 other musicians are going to do like 4 or 5 songs a piece for them. So, which is kind of great, you know, and it's like, you know, they make a couple of bucks for the musicians and give something kind of interesting. And then I've done like, another thing that's been really cool is, you know, I did a video for the Saxon Strong. I think you did one too for the
Yeah.
first one. Did you do one for the first one?
Huh.
Which was so cool.
Yeah.
Man, I've done so many of those and like PSAs and stuff for Texas Medical Association, which you should do too. They have you like do a little thing that says stay at home, and you just make up a little tune, or you just give them a PSA, because they want as many of those as possible out,
Uh-huh.
in the webosphere. And those kind of things have been so fun that, I don't know, I'm gonna start, putting them on my YouTube page. Maybe not too many of them, but when it's really, really nice, I
Yeah.
think that's a cool thing. We end up with more content. I have a strange suspicion that a lot of us are going to do more of this once it's out there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are going to do it every week on Monday, like I've been doing, or whatever day they choose. But I think people will do it more because it's just so great to be able to go into people's, living rooms and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun, like it's gotten a lot more popular with the quarantine than it was when we did it,
Yeah.
What's your take on it? Is there anything you're going to be doing?
Well, I really like this Zoom thing, and I've written a couple of songs over FaceTime and Zoom, and so a lot of the times, because I go to the South a lot, or to California or Oregon, and so it would be really cool to get to actually be able to play and maybe write a song with people, and not having to time it up perfectly when we're both in the same state, and we're both in the same both have a little window in our schedule.
Yeah, I agree. There was a song from my last EP called Bird Out on Ninth, and I got this idea, this little bird song. Bird was whistling outside this window, and it gave me a little melody, and I took the melody and put it on the guitar. Well, I couldn't finish that song because I was having a little trouble, so I called my friend Gabriel Rhodes, and I said, let's get a third person in on this, and he said, sure. And I ended up, we called Michael Fracasso, and they sat in their room. This was way before the pandemic. This was like last summer. They sat in their room, and again, I might have told you this story on the Guitar Slingers, but basically they sat in his living room in Austin. I was in a Motel 6 in Denver. And then the night before, I had stayed in this like massive hotel in Telluride. And then it was like the next night, because as we say on the road, some nights chicken and some nights feathers.
Yeah.
And that was a feathers night for sure. But I got up early, and we got on the FaceTime, and we finished the song in a couple hours. And what a cool use of technology that has been for all of us. And boy, we can't stop that when this goes away. We got to write some songs together.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I think I've written about 2 songs over like a Skype, or I don't know. Wow. This is my dad's computer.
Yeah, right.
I'm not much of an internet person, but
good for you. That'll keep you writing.
but I've been writing some songs, and it's really cool. It would actually be really fun to, as you said before, it'd be really fun to write some songs with you and get to play. I mean, this is really cool, getting to just play and talk with you.
There is an app that my friend Betty Sue and I were trying out, and it's called Jam Kazam, and it started about 2014 or something. Mm-hmm. And if you're plugged into an Ethernet cable, which who uses Ethernet cables anymore? Like nobody, right? I had to get a really long one, so it would go all the way across the apartment. We got like a 40-foot Ethernet cable, and I plugged in, and we were actually playing and singing at the same time on the internet. It was incredible. Yeah. Now, we have not figured out, supposedly you can take it and you can live stream your jam on YouTube. And we haven't figured out how to do that because both of us were using more like, what do you call it? Facebook Live, Zoom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But pretty soon somebody's going to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of bandwidth, and it takes a lot of like computing for obviously someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. You know, but when they get that figured out, it's going to be really, really great because people can play shows in different places at the same time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and on Jam Kazam, I think I've started thinking maybe my lessons should be on Jam Kazam so they can play and I can play at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
so syncs you two up. Is that what it does?
I mean, yeah, and
so that there's no delay like this.
It's amazing. There's just a millisecond, So we were actually singing harmonies to one of Betty Sue's songs in real time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I was just amazed, but it didn't have, we were trying to share it to the desktop on a Zoom, and we couldn't figure out how to do that. But we're not giving up because she and I both feel like spending a little time on it. If we figure out how to do it and it becomes a thing, then we can tell everybody and everybody can start doing it.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, if somebody would ever figure out how that works, they would make a mint right now. And I don't really care about that. I just care about it kind of getting out to the world.
Yeah.
So that we could all do it and stuff.
Yeah. So it's Jam Kazam?
Yep. JAMKAZAM. And they also have a bunch of things on there where you can just kind of on Acapella, you can use that app to do collaborations with people. You can just put it out there that I play guitar and I want to play with a bass player and a drummer. And then somebody somewhere will just join.
That's awesome.
It's really awesome. Now, it may be, how that's kind of a mixed bag. It's who knows who's going to it's going to come up. They could be great, or they might not be matched with you musically, or that kind of thing. But what a beautiful
Could be a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, but that would make me happy if it was you. Anybody who got you on would be lucky, my friend. But it's a really, really cool idea, and hopefully that will continue until the point where, because it just gets faster every year. If you would have told me, I'm that guy now who says, if you would have told me 20 years ago that I would have the entire world's knowledge right here in the palm of my hand, or that you and I would be video chatting. This is the stuff that when I was your age, we would see this on the Jetsons and think, oh, that's never going to happen, But, we thought we'd have flying cars by now too, and here we are.
We thought we'd have flying cars 4 years ago.
Yep. I still want my jetpack. I really want my jetpack, and they have them, but it's just not very practical.
Yeah.
Not very practical or safe. That'll be our song. We'll write, "Where's my jetpack?"
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I think we're coming up at about an hour.
That's more than enough, right?
Yeah.
We've talked enough, but I'll tell you what, why don't you and I get together soon? I'm going to do a whole bunch of stuff today, maybe tomorrow or the next day. You and I could get it together for another one and do some writing.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
I would sure love that. And I'll come up with some little guitar lines and maybe some words. You do the same, and then we'll just see what we both like.
Yeah. Awesome. That sounds good. Well,
I sure love talking to you and hanging out with you.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you for doing this with me.
Oh, anytime, my friend. And best to the rest of the family. And I guess I'll see you soon.